Hi everyone and welcome. We are getting ready for the Rapid Assault and Empowerment Defensive, a specialized 2-day workshop perfect for experienced martial artists, law enforcement, security personnel, and military operatives. Today I'm here with Cat, who will lead this workshop to hear about his journey and what he'll bring to the participants. So, hi Cat, I would like to start with you introducing yourself. Who are you and your background in martial arts, self-defense, and education?
Hi, well, my name is Cat Fitzgerald. I've been a lifelong martial art practitioner and just endlessly curious. And so I found myself winding through everything from peaceful martial arts to things that have the intent just simply to be lethal. And they all had some interesting things. The one thing that I thought that they have all the paths have in common, because I also have a background in dance and in Pilates and RFST and all these other things. Like I said, the curiosity takes me down a lot of roads. It's just that anything that combines physics, philosophy, and resilience, I have to know it. I'm like endlessly curious about it. But the truth is, like the ESD and where I am now with everything, I never really saw coming. It was always the path that I wanted to do, but it wasn't necessarily the specific work. And that just sort of happened naturally and evolved. That's about it,
Thank
me
you.
in a nutshell.
We are really thrilled to have you coming to Albania. It will be your second time. We had last year our first empowerment self-defense seminar with ESD instructors from Europe, but not only. And this time we are adding to this seminar this very specialized workshop that you will be leading. I'd like to ask you now at the workshop, what can participants expect and why is this topic important?
So in this particular workshop, the first and main thing is the mindset conditioning, giving ourselves permission to actually be able to utilize the techniques that we learn, regardless of whether it's pure ESD, whether it doesn't make any difference. Sometimes we don't feel or give ourselves permission to do it. And then in that mindset conditioning is also how we can then adapt to new challenging conditions, whether that's in an environment that's a physical confrontation or an emotional one, or maybe at the office or in a relationship. How can we actually change the pattern that we've always had? Then there's the skill set. And in this particular one, the idea is to gain not only the confidence in it, but the competence and then the proficiency to be able to do the different motions. And we're really focusing on the idea of weapons down to ground so that when you find yourself in a different environment, it's not necessarily shocking. You know what to do in order to get to the one that you want to achieve. A third thing is resilience. How deep do we go? And the time to find out isn't when you have to. You kind of want to know ahead of time what our boundaries are and things like that. And then what our elasticity with those boundaries is. And what do we have to draw on from our own personal resilience? And then the methods of training. And this is something that is not only good for us as individuals, but for martial arts in any industry, ESD, whatever, these different methods of training, dealing with adrenaline stress, the response, how do we dial it up? How do we dial it down? How do we do action and then recovery? How do we balance those? What are the responsibilities between, if I'm responding as a civilian or as police or as an operations unit? Each one of them has different goals that are antithetical to the other unit. So we cannot train them the same way or necessarily have the same even techniques work the same way. And then the last, I guess, would be acknowledging what the difference is between martial arts, ESD, and sport. Again, they kind of have different rules, different guidelines, and different permissions. I guess the other thing that people can look for or expect from this is that, yes, it's serious, but it's a lot of fun. It's trauma informed and it's effective. And the idea that it's safe and uncomfortable. So we're all in it together, and we want to be able to have those things in order to be able to push ourselves a little bit, find out where we can go and what we can do and how to.
Thank you. Who do you think should be the participants in this workshop? Because we have many martial artists that are maybe a little bit skeptical to empowerment self-defense methodology, but this is something different what we are offering this time. This workshop is very different. So who would be the different profiles that would be like the perfect fit to participate?
Any of them, really, where this is more of a kind of give a bunch of information, do a bunch of training. Like I said, work on the confidence, the competence, and the proficiency in all the things we're going to teach. But it's if we really want to do a deep dive in it, regardless of the industry, whether it's ESD, martial arts, or industry specific, they're each going to have their own kind of goals and things like that. The one thing I would say, I have seen a lot of resistance or skepticism, I guess, from the martial art community about ESD, and then also from operations down to ESD. And I think maybe it's been, at least for me, the way I've explained it traditionally. And so I've been looking at that a lot recently. And it seems that, especially, well, all three industries actually, one of the fundamental kind of threads of continuity that we all share is that we all want to have a positive influence on our students, our community. We want to help people kind of grow and move off and out of where we are in any confines that we have. And that's a thread of continuity that goes through all three. There are obvious limitations of achieving that through like police or things like that, although they're essential and they do, a wonderful job. The thing I think that we really have to offer martial arts is really three main things. One, if we really want to help people and expand their horizons, their ability to do things, and have the martial arts really kind of reach out beyond just the dojo walls. ESD is fantastic at increasing not only the breadth, but the depth of that positive impact on on the individuals and our community because of how we train. That brings us to number two, which is the methods of training. There are a lot of things that martial arts does really well, and there are limitations that don't have to be limitations. For example, if we're in an art that does sparring, that's great. It really helps with the idea of indomitable spirit and these kinds of things. But if my sister or somebody were in a abusive relationship, I wouldn't tell them to have indomitable spirit to stick it out, right? It's not that the concept is wrong. It's that that there's a balance, that there's another thing. And in the I can't imagine doing like a sparring thing. I was picturing this the other night in the dojo, running a spar where you're allowed to actually de-escalate, and that the win is you got out of the ring and you didn't do the spar. So anyway, on the methods of training, to get back to the point, it allows us to do things like interactive scenario training, adrenaline stress inoculation, work on our decision making that includes psychological permission to act, not just I am acting, and when. How do I know when? Verbal de-escalation, methods that directly apply the skills that we learn into the dojo to the rest of our lives, like the office, personal relationships, things like that. And then the accessibility. ESD is really designed for people of all ages, sizes, abilities, et cetera, et cetera. The last thing I would say about why martial artists should do this is because if you're a dojo owner or something, it's an untapped revenue. You can now offer new classes. And while martial artists may have done self-defense classes before, if we don't have that component of de-escalation and the decision-making of when do I know how to fight, it won't ever address the majority of situations that are actually manipulations, not straight out assaults. And so many people who might actually take a martial art course don't actually join because they're either trauma survivors or people who view martial arts as violent or things like that. They hesitate to jump in. So this offers the ability to tap into new students and increase your positive effect. And then the scope. You now have workshops you can teach. There's an increased ease in getting a program into schools or universities and additional in-dojo classes. And it's an evidence-based self-defense. It's backed by research, statistics, and training methodologies. It can't do anything except help.
Right. Thank you very much. It was very important to explain the why. Why should martial artists and other instructors join this workshop? Law enforcement, security personnel, and others. And I want to highlight how the experience that you can bring, but also that they can also share, the participants can also share from their experience. And that's what makes these trainings so important and so valuable. So in this workshop that will be on the 11th and 12th of October, we are going to meet everyone in Albania, and we'll be practicing hand-to-hand combat, weapon disarms, and some of the topics, ground escapes, timing and survival skills, surviving multiple attackers. So I'm really looking forward to see how this will be practicing together. I'd like to thank you so much, and also thanks to everyone for watching. The workshop, it's the first time that we're preparing and organizing something like this in our network of ESD Europe, and I invite everyone to participate, so don't miss it and join. And you can register now through the link that we posted in the caption, and we can't wait to see you. Thank you very much, Kat, and see you
Thank
soon in
you.
Albania.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.